What's up, YouTube? Pluto here. Space Marines 2 has had its first big patch, and I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about it. We have a new feature to the game, the sparring area. This was talked about a while back, and it's finally here. You can access it from both Operations and Eternal War, from the newly opened up set of stairs in the loading area. This area will allow you to engage in friendly PvP with players in your squad, so if you get that one friend who thinks they're the best, you can finally put that to the test. And then we finally get ultra wide support for PC. I know a lot of folks who were waiting on this, so it's good to see them get this out so fast. Added an option to make private matches. This will be insanely helpful when it comes to testing things. It always felt bad when you were going in to test just one thing, especially at the beginning of an operation, and you'd end up getting a full team. They've also added what's new and a message of the day to the main menu right here. And then they added an option to reset custom coloring patterns. Still a little weird though, because you kind of have to pick the pattern you want at the bottom to override, and then go up top and then hold space or whatever your button is. This is a little backwards to how most games do it, but at least we can change our preset skins now. The marking tool has seen some improvements. They removed the ability to mark a lot of objects in the game, so it should be a lot easier to hit your marks now, and you should be less likely to mark whatever's behind your target. All Power Fist fully charged attacks have been buffed. This seems to be a significant buff and makes the Power Fist feel a lot better. The Heavy Plasma also received a buff, with having its base ammo increased by 5 and its blast radius increased. The overheating has been reduced from 50 to 30 on charged shots and 20 to 15 on regular shots. Stim shots receiving a massive buff here. They now can heal contested HP alongside of the normal HP they heal. This is huge and a really big boost from survivability, especially on those higher level difficulties. This is our first real nerf to the game, and kind of a big one, especially if you like the underbarrel grenade launcher on the tactical class. You can no longer refill these grenades from ammo caches. They can only be refilled from ammo boxes. This one kind of hurts. Let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments. Then we're on to our campaign changes. Enemy aggressiveness on veteran difficulty has been decreased. A lot of players were asking for this, especially over on Reddit, so this is a good change. To compensate for this though, they also reduced the player's health by a bit. Let me know how this feels. Bots needed an update, and they got one as well. They should feel a lot more like they're helping versus just standing around. They should help you fight things that you're actually fighting versus just standing there watching you. They can now also finish off kills if they're in executable state versus just leaving them to basically regenerate their health back to full. This is a good change in my opinion. Now they feel more like they're actually there. They're helping us versus just pretty much blocking your shots. Pretty much it looks like they removed a lot of the restrictions that the bots had on them, allowing them to do a lot more things. I don't know why they had so many restrictions on the bots from the get-go. But this change will make them feel like they're actually there helping you and doing stuff versus just being there. Next, we have our operation changes, and there are some good ones here. First, they tweaked the spawn rules for the chaos enemies. The max number of the shield guys that can spawn, if they changed it from 10 to 4, this is a massive W here, especially with how the shield guys work. They're so hard to break through their shield, especially on Ruthless. So not having to deal with 10 plus at a time is really nice. Big W here, big win. The max number of the snipers was also reduced from 10 to 3 here. That's another big W. So now when you're in the mix of things, especially in Chaos, fighting with melee, you won't be getting pegged from snipers from far off. They also reduced the overall number of enemies in an area at one time from 30 to 20. Big W here. You should feel less overwhelmed in some of these areas now. Rubric Marines with the bolter gun also had their numbers reduced from 8 to 5. And then the Warp Flamethrowers had their numbers reduced from 4 to 3. These should make these operations feel a lot less like a clusterfuck and more manageable. Perfect Parrying received kind of a buff and a nerf here. The buff being that you now get armor back anytime you parry a Minoris level enemy, regardless if it has an indicator or not. The kind of nerf part here was apparently Perfect Parrying before was giving us 30 frames of invulnerability, and now they've reduced that down to 20 with the 10 frames at the end being vulnerable. And apparently this is how it was always supposed to be. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this and if you can notice the change. Then we get one class here buff for the assault. Base ground pound damage has been increased by 30%. I was kind of hoping to see some more changes for the assault class or just in general, but only time will tell. But for now, at least they're willing to buff things. And our next kind of little nerf here is the armor boost drops that were from destructible crates are now going to be less common, and their cooldown has been increased from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So we have a little hit to our survivability here. Next, we have some PvP changes. They improved to the player spawn system. Hopefully we can see a lot less spawn trapping. If you play PvP a lot like myself, that's becoming more and more of a more prevalent thing you run into is being spawn trapped if you're on the weaker team. Then we have a rework for the Vanguard's grapple. I know a lot of players, myself included, really want to see this change because there's nothing fun about being grappled and literally not being able to do anything except for die. They changed it. Instead of fully stunning you now, it will just stagger you and make you drastically slow, but you still have the ability to shoot and fight back. And then we have our AI changes, and there's a lot of them. First, they reduce the ability to stun like enemies with range attacks. This is across all AI characters. This can be kind of annoying, especially for the enemies calling for help. We'll have to see how this really works out when we get in game. Accuracy of ranged enemies is reduced when attacking from off screen. This is amazing. There's nothing worse than when you were attacking a horde and getting completely melted by an enemy way off screen that you couldn't see. And it looks like they further reduced their range accuracy when you engaged in melee combat. I don't know if those two stack. We'll have to do some testing to see. This next one is an incredibly huge good change. Now instead of them taking out one full armor bar, they have a specific amount of damage they do, so you won't just lose one armor chunk no matter what. And then we have some zoanthrope changes here. They increase the psychic screen damage sparsing time from 0.5 to 2 seconds. This is to prevent one-shotting damage. The scream damage has also been reduced here from 11 to 8. The effective range of the scream has also been reduced from 50 to 40. And the cast range has also been reduced by 10 meters. This should make fighting them feel a lot more forgiving, but they still will be bullet sponges, so you'll probably still want to bring a sniper class or a tactical class to easily deal with them. And then we have two reductions in spray attack here, one from 1 to 0.5 and the other one from 0.3 to 0.1. And then we have Tyranid Warriors with the Devourer. Their projectile damage has been reduced from 0.9 to 0.6 per projectile. This should really help out and feel a lot better. Next, we have the Rubric Marines with the Warp Flamer. They received quite a bit of changes as well. Their icon of flame damage has been reduced from 9 to 6. Their Flamer burst damage has been reduced from 6 to 4 per shot. And their Flamer shooting damage has been reduced from 6 to 4 per projectile. And their health has also been reduced by 10%. The Rubric Marines with the Bolt Gun also received a couple changes. Their spray attack damage has been reduced from 1.5 to 1. Their precision shot attack, the one with the red indicator, its damage has also been reduced from 4 to 2 per projectile. They also reduced how often these guys will teleport on you, making them a lot less annoying to fight, and reduce their health by 10%. What this should do is it should make those operations where you have to go up against chaos a lot easier and a lot less tedious to actually accomplish. The little chaos guys with shields have had their HP greatly reduced. Thank goodness. Hopefully this makes fighting them a lot easier and it can be a lot less of a slog fest when you have to deal with multiple ones of them. And hopefully maybe you can potentially one-shot them with the hammer. The Carnifex received some updates here. Its rage phase has been updated. It will now become faster and more aggressive. It should taunt less frequently and fixed a bug where the Cone of Thorns attacks wouldn't fire projectiles. I also don't see that they fixed a bug here. I would run into it occasionally sometimes where the Carnifex, he'll just break all together and just stop moving and just stand there and you'll be able to freely kill him. Maybe that's something we'll see addressed in a further update. Next, we have the Hive Tyrant, which received a slight increase to its health, and it now has a resistance to explosive and melta weapons by 20%. It kind of seems like they're trying to steer us away from the melta weapons just a little bit. And then for the rest of this, we just have like UI fixes, bug fixes, some changes. I'll kind of touch bases on the ones that I think are the most important. They fixed several issues with default colors being wrong on some classes. This is really nice, especially if you like to cosplay with your favorite chapter like I do. Vanguard's right relic Grievous has now been reduced from 36 to 29 victories instead. This is a pretty good change. They added a new color pattern called the Grievous pattern. What this does is it allows you to customize the top half of your leg and the bottom half of your leg separately. Pretty good change. They fixed several issues preventing some players from progressing within some levels. Hopefully they can address and get more of the other issues. I do know that there's some that still persist. Tweak the dust storm and density duration on ballistic engine. This is great because if you played the mission before today, before the patch went out, 90% of that map was all dust storm. They tweaked the Helldrake's fire timing on the bridge. What this does is it makes it more forgiving to make it from spot to spot. This is a pretty good change. All trials can now be accessed from the Hypnomat in the armory. They fixed a bug where changing a loadout mid-operation would store your health. No more free HP. You now have to work for it. They improved the responsiveness of the jump pack ability. Only time will tell to see how much this has really affected gameplay. They fixed a bug where in some rare cases, while performing a finisher, you wouldn't be able to have control of your character afterwards. If any of you have ever experienced this bug, it's really annoying, and the only way I could find out to fully get rid of it was either leave the match or close out the game. So this is a nice change right here. Fixed a bug where players weren't receiving armory data from Hellbrutes spawned from Chaos Portals. This is really nice because you don't want to go through all that work to get your hard-earned armory data just to not get it. They fixed one of Vanguard's perk, Adrenaline Rush, not displaying properly. It was showing 1%, and instead it's supposed to say 10%. They fixed the announcer spam in Internal War. If you play any PvP, you understand how annoying this can be. Fixed a bug where the grapple launcher would get canceled if overlapping by small geometry. I wonder if this fix also includes where, like in PvP, if you go to grapple someone and they're just right around the corner and stuff, you'll get the stun off of them, and they'll get stunned, but you won't use the grapple. So I wonder if this fixes this as well. They fixed the issue where several weapons could restore more than actual contested health. This is kind of like the Melta bug that was going on where you'd be able to shoot into a mob and get your entire HP back. So now the Melta, this is the nerf for the Melta. They didn't actually nerf the Melta, but this was the nerf for it. Fix an issue that were causing loss of saves. Hopefully that anyone who had their save loss can now complete whatever they lost before and they won't lose their saves now. They have lots of minor UI fixes and improvements. You'll see this all throughout the games within the menus and as you're playing through the matches. You'll see at the top of the screen it has like a different look to it. Then they have lots of minor animation and improvements. This is nice. You always want to see them improving the animations, especially with how good the executions and stuff are in this game. That's it for Space Marine 2's first big patch. A lot of buffs, very few nerfs. That's what you want to see. In my opinion, this is a huge win for Saber and the player base. The future looks bright for Space Marines 2. I'm Pluto, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.